In this video, we're going to go over multiplying monomials. We're going to start with multiplying monomials, and then we're going to move on to multiplying polynomials. What we need to do is review some things, specifically laws of exponents. So, we're going to write down some rules for multiplying monomials. Rule number 1. Multiply the numbers together that are in front of the variable. If you see any numbers, which will be the big numbers, those big numbers are called coefficients, you're going to multiply all your coefficients together. So if it gives you a problem where there are 2 coefficients, you multiply those 2. If it gives you 5 coefficients, you multiply all those coefficients together to get your new coefficient for your answer. So multiply the numbers in front of the variables together first. Then we need to remember something about our laws of exponents. When you multiply, you add your exponents. Let me say that again. When you multiply, you add your exponents. And for these problems, you're going to add the exponents for all the like variables. That means I'm going to add the exponents on all my x's together. I'm going to add the exponents on all my y's, all my z's, all my a's. Another thing you need to get in a habit of doing for these is put these in alphabetical order. Even the variables in the term need to be in alphabetical order. So the rules are real simple. Multiply the big numbers together, add the small numbers together when you're multiplying, and make sure it's in alphabetical order. Example number 1. I'm going to use my rules. My rules tell me that when I'm multiplying together monomials or anything that has variables, I multiply my coefficients together first. My coefficients for this are 2 and 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Then I write down the variable I'm using. I'm using an x in this problem. How do I get how many x's I have? I add my exponents for my x's to get a total of the number of x's being multiplied together. There's 3 x's being multiplied together. There's 5 x's being multiplied together for a total of 8 x's being multiplied together. So again, multiply your coefficients together, add your exponents. Multiply your coefficients, add your exponents when you're multiplying. Sometimes they'll use a dot to represent multiplying. Sometimes they'll use parentheses to represent multiplying. It's still the same thing. The rules say multiply my coefficients together. What's my coefficient for this? -3. What's my coefficient for this? 5. -3 times 5 is -15. Then I write down the variable I'm using. And when I multiply, I add my exponents. 4 plus 9, 13. The next example, I'm multiplying 4 different terms together. First thing I need to do is multiply my coefficients together, like this. 2 times 5 is 10, times -2 is -20, times -4 is 80. So I could go 2 times 5 is 10, 10 times -2, 10 times -2 is -20, and -20 times -4 is positive 80. That's the number that goes in the front. That's my coefficient in my answer. Next, I need to write down one of the variables I'm using. What variable will I write down first? A's, because A's come first in the alphabet. Now I need to add up all my A's. I have how many A's here? 3. How many A's here? 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. So I've added all my A's together. The next letter I'm using in this problem is C. I write down a C and I add up all my C's together. I've got 5 here, 7 there. 5 plus 7 is 12. The next problem can be really difficult for some students, but remember we need to go through our rules. Our rules are this. There's a lot of numbers that we don't see here. We don't see these ones that are in front. And what are we supposed to do with these ones in front? We're supposed to multiply them together. I'm going to go ahead and write down the variable x. So there's ones right here and right here. 1 times 1 is 1. I also have ones as exponents. What are you supposed to do with those exponents? You're supposed to add those together. 1 plus 1 is 2. So the correct way to write this is just x to the second power. You'll also start to see some that have an exponent of 0. Again, I follow those same rules. What am I supposed to do with these numbers in the front? I'm supposed to multiply them together. 1 times 1 is 1. I write down the variable I'm working with, and when I multiply, what do I do with my exponents? There's a 0 right there, there's a 1 right there. I'm supposed to add them together. 0 plus 1 is still 1. I don't have to write this 1 here. I don't have to write this 1 here. I just write down x as my answer. They may give you problems with negative exponents. The rules are the same. I multiply these numbers in the front right here. There's a 1 right here and there's a 1 right here. 1 times 1 is 1. I write down the variable I'm working with. There's an exponent of 1 right here that I can't see. What am I supposed to do with my exponents when I multiply? I add those exponents. 1 and negative 6 combined together give me negative 5. I don't have to write this 1 right here in the front, so this is x to the negative 5th power. Next example. I've got 1s here in the front again. I've got a 1 here and a 1 here. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to write down my x first because that comes first in the alphabet. What do I do with my exponents? When I multiply, I add them together. This is 2 and negative 5 combined together. 2 minus 5, negative 3. So I've used my x's. Got those 1s taken care of. The next letter I write down is y. What do I do with my exponents when I multiply? I add them together. Negative 1 and negative 1 give me negative 2 as the exponent for my y. I write down z next. 19, and there is a 1 sitting right here. 19 plus 1 is 20. And remember, I don't have to write this 1 in the front, so I can write down x to the negative 3rd, y to the negative 2, z to the 20th power. Another rule that we need to remember is if something is raised to the power of 0, it's equal to 1. Here's an example of what I'm talking about of something raised to the 0 power. I'm going to go through my rules again. The first thing I need to do is multiply these big numbers together, the coefficients. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. I multiply my x's together, and the way I do that is I add my exponents. I've got a 1 right there, a negative 1 right there. 1 and negative 1 give me 0. I write down my y's because I'm done with my x's. When I multiply, I add my exponents. 3 minus 2 is 1. So what's happening here is I'm taking this negative 6, and anything raised to the 0 power is 1. It's like negative 6 times 1. An easy way for students to remember this, it's almost like saying how many x's are being multiplied together? 0. So in a sense, in my answer, there's going to be no x's. Anytime, once I do all my multiplying and adding of exponents, and I get an exponent of 0, I don't have to write that variable anymore. Negative 6, and I don't have to write this exponent of 1.